You spent over 12,000 hours in school. You learned that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. You memorized dates of wars fought centuries ago. You solved for X more times than you can count. But did anyone ever sit you down and explain how money actually works? How compound interest could quietly turn a few $100s into $1 million? Or how that same force working against you through credit card debt could trap you for decades? Strange, isn't it? We live in a world that runs entirely on money, yet we're sent into adulthood completely blind to how it works. Today, we're going to talk about why financial literacy isn't taught in schools, and more importantly, what you can do about it. Let's start with some numbers that should make you uncomfortable. Only 57% of American adults are considered financially literate. That means nearly half the population struggles with basic concepts, budgeting, interest rates, inflation. Student loan debt in America has crossed $1.7 trillion. The average household carries over $10,000 in credit card debt. And yet, only 23 states require any form of financial education in high school. Most students graduate without understanding how the stock market works, how to file taxes, or what a 30-year mortgage actually costs when you add up all that interest. Here's what puzzles me. Schools teach us to prepare for jobs, but not to manage the money those jobs pay us. We learn how to be employees, but never how to be investors. We're trained to work for money, but never taught how to make money work for us. Why? Well, there are several reasons, and some of them might surprise you. To understand this, we need to go back to when the modern school system was created. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, public education was built with one goal in mind: produce workers for factories. The industrial economy needed people who could follow instructions, show up on time, and perform repetitive tasks without complaint. Financial independence? That wasn't part of the plan. In fact, it was the opposite of the plan. The system needed workers, not entrepreneurs, employees, not investors. People who would spend their lives trading time for money. And here's the uncomfortable truth: this framework never fundamentally changed. We added new subjects, updated the textbooks, put computers in classrooms, but the underlying structure, preparing people to work for others, that stayed exactly the same. Think about what school actually teaches you: how to get a job, not how to build passive income; how to write a resume, not how to read a financial statement; how to follow rules, not how to think independently about wealth. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed. The question is whether that design still serves you. Let's talk about teachers for a moment with compassion. Most teachers are dedicated, hardworking people. They spend long hours for modest pay, genuinely trying to help young minds grow. But here's the problem: you cannot teach what you were never taught. Studies show that most teachers themselves lack confidence in financial topics. One survey found that only 12% of teachers felt very competent to teach personal finance. The rest? They were never trained in investing, compound interest, or wealth building during their own education. This creates a cycle. Financially illiterate students grow up. Some become teachers. They teach a new generation of students. Those students grow up financially illiterate, and the cycle repeats. This isn't about blame. Teachers aren't the villains here. The training programs don't exist. The resources aren't provided. The curriculum support isn't there. You can't expect someone to suddenly become a financial expert when the entire system around them offers no support. And even when schools genuinely want to add financial literacy, they hit another wall. Here's the brutal reality of modern education. What gets tested gets taught. What doesn't get tested gets ignored. Schools are judged by test scores. Teachers are evaluated by test scores. Funding often depends on test scores. And what's on those standardized tests? Math, reading, science. Important subjects? Sure. But personal finance? Investing? Understanding how compound interest can make you rich or bury you in debt? Not on the test, not a priority. When schools have limited hours and endless pressure to boost test scores, financial literacy becomes expendable. It's a nice to have, not a must have. It gets squeezed out, pushed aside, forgotten. Some schools offer it as an elective, but an elective is optional, and students not knowing what they don't know often pick something else. Meanwhile, the skills that could genuinely change their financial futures sit there, untaught, waiting for someone to care enough to make them mandatory. No one does. Here's something people don't talk about enough. Money is tied to values, and values are tied to politics. Should students learn to invest in the stock market, or is the stock market an unfair system that exploits workers? Should they learn about taking on debt, or does that normalize borrowing and consumerism? Should they learn about building wealth, or does that promote greed and materialism? Different families believe different things about money. Some see wealth building as a virtue. Others see it as morally questionable. Some preach frugality. Others believe in abundance. Some think the rich earned it. Others think the system is rigged. For schools and politicians, teaching financial literacy means stepping into a minefield. It means choosing what to teach, how to frame it, and whose values get embedded in the lessons. Often, the safest political choice is no choice at all. Avoid the topic entirely. Stick to subjects that don't spark parent complaints or school board debates. And so financial literacy remains untouched. Too risky, too controversial, too complicated. I'm not one for conspiracy theories, but let's be honest about incentives for a moment. Who benefits when people don't understand how credit card interest works? Credit card companies collecting billions in fees. Who benefits when people can't calculate the true cost of a payday loan? Predatory lenders charging 400% annual interest. Who benefits when people chase get-rich-quick schemes instead of boring, steady investing? The people selling those schemes? Financial ignorance is incredibly profitable for certain industries, and those industries have lobbying power, political donations, influence. I'm not saying there's some grand conspiracy to keep you poor and stupid, but I am saying this: when you follow the money, the picture gets clearer. There are powerful forces with zero incentive to make you financially literate, and they're not exactly pushing for change. All right, enough about the problems. Let's talk solutions. If the school system won't teach you financial literacy, you have to teach yourself. And the good news? We live in an era where that's easier than ever. Books like The Psychology of Money and I Will Teach You to Be Rich are sitting on shelves, waiting for you. YouTube channels, including this one, exist to share knowledge for free. Podcasts, online courses, communities of people learning together. The resources are everywhere. The system failed us, but we don't have to fail ourselves. Start small. Learn one financial concept per week. Understand what compound interest really means. Learn what an index fund is and why it matters. Study the difference between assets and liabilities. Every piece of knowledge you gain is a brick in the foundation of your financial freedom. Every lesson you learn is something you can teach your children, your friends, your community. Schools didn't teach us about money. But that doesn't mean we can't learn, and it doesn't mean we can't change things for those who come after us. Knowledge is the greatest investment you'll ever make. And unlike the stock market, the returns are guaranteed.